Hi, welcome to Construction One-on-One with Ravi Bhatia. Today we've got Neil Hirani, Chief Operating Officer of Hirani Engineering and Surveying. Hey Neil, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Ravi? Doing all right, thanks. Thanks for having me.
We've been trying for a couple of months to get you on, and I think we're very fortunate to have you on our podcast because you've got so much to share and so much to teach all of us. And I think it's really exciting. You're at the forefront of a lot of exciting things that are going on in the construction industry. And of course, I've known you and your family for a long time, and you are an innovator. But I think our viewers want to know about Neil Hirani. What is your journey in construction look like? How did you get here to this position?
Sure, yeah. Well, first I want to say, when it comes to being fortunate, I think everybody's fortunate to have you sharing this type of information out there. I think it's beneficial to the industry. And I think that's big. I think it does change people's lives and it will help people grow their careers, which is incredible. So who is Neil Hirani, man? I mean, that is a loaded question, right?
Tough question, man.
But yeah, when it comes to construction, or the AEC industry, I feel like I've been in it all my life. I mean, my dad started the company 32 years ago. I'm 30 years old. So since I was a kid, I've been hearing conversations. I've been learning about business. I've been overhearing conversations about engineering. And, it was the internships I had over school summers. And I just really got, engulfed in more the fascination of building things, whether it be businesses or technologies or people. But that really that hit home with me. And so that's what really, I went to school for accounting. I didn't finish school. I ended up being in the accounting department and got transferred over to surveying because my dad needed assistance in surveying. And I was always very good with computers, right? So since I was a kid, when I was playing video games, we'd code bots. And then look, I leveraged things people created already. I did not know my own language, but I knew how to copy and paste. I knew how to watch a YouTube video. And so just from a young age, I was really able to get into technology and leverage resources online. Fast forward to today, or not so much today, but when I started in surveying, we were using a rod and level to do roof surveys. So I'm on Google doing my thing as I usually am, just researching survey, and I'm like, hey, why aren't we using total stations? Mind you, we have a surveying department that has multiple total stations in-house. And that's really what piqued my curiosity. And from there, it was, the total station to bringing on LiDAR scanners. We did a lot of automated monitoring from there, vibration monitoring, optical monitoring, air monitoring, crack monitoring, all automated. And it just kept piquing my curiosity more and more. Like, hey, what more can we do? How can we better offer services? And luckily, I had a really strong team. And then as I mentioned before, leveraging resources is very important to me. And I had an amazing team that my dad built here for, 30 plus years now. And I had them to leverage and help me innovate and leverage technology to really get to the position I'm in today. And, I'm very fortunate to have that. But that's how I got shotgunned into technology and innovation.
It's such a great, your journey has been so inspiring because, and I think we can all learn from it, is that you took the skills that you have, you took the opportunity that was presented, and you were focused on making things better and improving. Hey, I can do better. The state of the art is better. The competition's doing this. You surveyed the market and you said we can do things differently. And you took something and you started applying digital applications, ways to improve your company's services. And you were the guy that took the bull by the horns and pretty much created your own niche within your organization.
Yeah, absolutely true. And again, thanks to the team we had here, right? Without the engineers, the surveyors, the architects, without these guys bringing their experience to the table, these men and women bringing their experience to the table and allowing me to take that knowledge and really leverage it to, further.
It's a wonderful experience. And that's why
it really is
so happy that you joined us, because this is the kind of things that needs to be shared. And as an industry, we've got a long way to go, but we're getting there. going from this fragmented industry to an industry that's moving forward together, and the industry we're in, right? Infrastructure, the customers are going to continue to be more demanding. It's going to continue to be competitive, and so that's a good thing. That's going to drive innovation,
thing,
right?
yeah.
So what inspires you? We know you like to learn, but what really inspires you to keep doing all
Really
this?
inspires me. All right, so my dad really implemented Jim Hirani, who started Hirani Engineering and Land Surveying. He really instilled the power of a solid mindset from a very young age. That, along with family, along with the fact that technology and innovation is something that anybody can pick up. Like, you do not need to be somebody. You do not need to have a crazy background. You can get out there and you can really pick up tools and innovations to help your lives. You can do it both on a mental and physical level, right? And you can do it to implement it in careers, whatever career path you want to, but that technology and innovation is up for grabs. The information out there today.
That's a great point. So it's not, the great thing about technology is that it is open. It's out there, available for us at a very low cost, and in some cases free, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, UI is something that has moved along significantly. Most UIs today, if you have a typical software, that user interface is going to be pretty similar. You have some redundancy there where it's you can pick up softwares quicker, because you just know what's going to be under the file tab, what's going to be under the edit tab, what's going to be under the view tab. And so that it really, as you pick up more and more things, whether it be in the classroom or outside of the classroom, that the technology and innovation allows it to be easily accessible.
You don't have to be a software engineer or know how to code to use some pretty sophisticated technologies today, right?
To leverage, always leverage, right? That's one of the biggest strengths we have, is you want to leverage the information.
I like that. You've used that word now 3 or 4 times, leverage, right? So that's important. Leveraging the best tools that we have access to.
Absolutely. I think leveraging is one of the #1 things everybody can do, and it's not something that you can do on your own. You leverage what other people teach you. You leverage what you find from other people. You leverage life lessons, whatever it is. But I think it's very important to always leverage what you know, leverage from your resources, and it really helps you slingshot forward.
It ties into innovation too, because it's almost never the case that something new or brand new is developed. It's always incrementally improving on what's been done before, or taking a platform and then raising its usefulness or its application, or even having it transcend into other industries, in this case, construction. So I think that's great. And you've kind of simultaneously taken the innovation role and leadership within your organization. So you've taken that innovation, but you've combined it with leadership and taken on more responsibility. So that sounds like a very daunting task. How have you managed to do both, and how do you do that while maintaining any kind of balance? Like, it sounds like a lot.
So it's definitely a lot, but it's thanks to the team, right? We have 120 people here at the company that support us in our endeavors. We support them in their endeavors, right? And that's really what it comes down to. We luckily have so many resources here that I'm aided by, right? That I have assistance of, and I'm willing to help them to really make sure that we always stay on top of whatever's at the forefront of technology, really. When it comes to business practices, leadership, and innovation, just creating Teams Excel sheets, automating project management reports, whether it be financials, etc. Having that come back on a standard a standard time, having an email track of who sent this back on a certain time. That's all leveraging technology and innovation to really drive.
You remember when Teams first came out, and we talked about this maybe, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and we said, wow, starting to use Teams. And my first exposure to Teams was, I think, in 2015, and I thought it was the coolest thing, and people weren't using it, right? And Teams is like a good example. If you're on a project and the team is using Teams, you've got a secure platform that you could record and chronicle events, and it's completely mobile, right? And that's like a simple tool. Wow.
And they're doing this across the board. They are really building it out. Microsoft offices, but everybody is at the tail end of that too. Everybody's coming out the woodwork with these innovations where everything just syncs together, and that collaboration is going to be so significant in our industry specifically. Just being able to work with people on that level in real time is you know, it already has changed the game significantly.
So what is the state, and this is kind of a heavy question, what is the state of construction innovation and technology adoption?
Look, I think we're at a good time right now. I think there's a lot of innovation and technology being called out. I mean, I think our specs, you know, could be updated, but as everybody knows, it's not always easy to update, you know, specs that have been ingrained in our industry for a long period of time. But you know, you see more agencies adopting BIM. You see more agencies adopting different safety standards as well. You know, they recently came out with this AI that it has an accelerometer built in, right? So if somebody falls, it'll take the speed and it'll let you know, like, oh, this person fell, right? And so you get like a red alert. And then for safety purposes, it's really important, right? You want to know when someone falls and you want to know immediately. So I think the industry is really, really doing their best to keep up, but I think it's becoming harder and harder for the agencies and even just for clients to really approve of using the new technologies and innovations.
Change at the pace of change is so rapid that it's hard for any organization or any structure to fully embrace it. So that's where it's really up to the people that are driving the industry, people like you that, you know, hey, you can talk to customers about this, right? Well, when it comes to your customers, I know you're very customer focused. What are they expecting from innovation and technology as it relates to quality and safety? What is their expectation, and have they fully articulated it?
So I think clients, I am not sure they're fully articulated it so much, but I think it's our duty to present it to them. I think we have to show them the path. If we feel that the path is better, you know, better for quality, better for safety, then we have to show them how, we have to show them why. Something as simple as this that we picked up, and then we do both now, right? We used to send out reports via PDF. We saw that we got a lot more traction sending out the reports with a PDF attachment than if we sent it as a link to just a dashboard on our emails. And because we saw that we weren't getting traction on the links, clients weren't opening them up. And sure, it'd be easy to say, oh, that's their problem, but that's not how we operate. You know, we do what's best for the industry. We do what's best for the project. We do what's best for our clients. We do what's best for our company. What's best for our company, what's best for our clients, what's best for the projects, etc., is for somebody to know that there's an alert on their job or something that they need to be worried about. And this is specifically relating to the geotech instrumentation we do. We do a lot of automated alerts. You know, we have different types of instrumentation on site. It's measuring different properties of adjacent structures to make sure that there's no damage when there's ongoing construction near there.
And these automated alerts are really important because the projects are getting increasingly more complex. We're working in a very dense urban environment.
Yeah.
And not too long ago, I'm going back about 15 years ago, when it was still manual. You know, you called a vibration consultant and they installed devices, and so you put optical monitors, but it was all very static, right? Mm-hmm. You went and took the reading, you got the tape, and it still seemed like you weren't getting the kind of dynamic information that would cause you to be proactive. You were being reactive. So maybe that's one thing that technology allows us to be very proactive.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's good. But so ultimately you want to introduce value-driven changes for clients, and you can say, hey, there's value in this. You can either save time, if you're saving time, you're saving money too. And if you're doing both while delivering a safer and more high quality project, well, that's a home run, right? So that's what you're looking at, being at that frontier. So what is that frontier? What are the limits, if there are any? What does the frontier of construction and technology look like? And I'm not asking to go forward like 20 years, but what does it look like in a 3 to 5 year look ahead, if you could do that?
So, I mean, look, I think a lot of technology is going to be AI based moving forward, right? A lot of our innovations technology is going to be utilizing AI because it's going to help make things more efficient. I think one of the major concerns with that is who the user is, right? You can't ask AI to do design, but I am concerned that that's where it may go, and then maybe not the right quality checks are on that. So I think that's definitely a barrier, is to just ensure that the quality assurance and checks are in place as AI starts to really dominate the market.
So you're talking about using, so the human interface and the AI interface have to work together.
Yeah. So it's you know, I love when my people leverage ChatGPT for an email, or AI for anything for that matter, but they need to make sure they review that email and that it's relevant, right? Because how you prompted ChatGPT has a lot with what's coming out of it. If you didn't prompt it correctly,
Right. You got to
that
ask the
email should
right,
not just
you
be
still have to
copy and
ask the
pasted.
question, the right question.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think that's a boundary, and then that goes for all technology, really, right? So same thing with our surveying group. We do a lot of LiDAR scanning, right? Control is very important to LiDAR scanning. And the way and the type of scanners you use is very critical as well in terms of accuracy, right? And whether you're giving it to an architect, an engineer, a contractor, it all changes, right? What the requirements are for that deliverable. And if the person or the company providing that service is not informing their client, like, hey, by the way, we're using this new type of scanner, it's showing that without control, it's going to have, let's say half an inch of drift. Is that all right? They're just going out there, they're doing it, they're providing it over, and now all of a sudden the client has, more than half an inch bust on their project. And so I think education, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at, is education is going to be very big in ensuring that technology, AI, any innovations are leveraged properly.
So education, this would be beyond, it wouldn't just be at the university level, but it would be at the vocational level, at the organizational level, interns. It's got to be everybody, right? Because we are.
It's what you're doing right now, Ravi.
This is where we're sharing this information, but for, the practical applications you're providing, these are useful. These are things that we could use right now. This is not the future anymore. 5 years ago, it was the future. Well, we're there now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that means that there are incredibly exciting opportunities for everybody, especially for young people entering into what you and I know is the best industry to be in. I mean, there's just so many opportunities coming up, and how we're embracing technology is a testament to the willingness of our industry to change and adapt. And we are a very critical industry to our nation, and so it's really exciting to be part of all of this. And as speaking of change, so how do you plan to continue to be a catalyst for change, and how does that tie into what you want to do professionally and within your organization and for your customers?
So, I mean, I want to continue to educate everybody within the company. I think the main driving factors have been leadership and innovation for for this meeting, and I want to drive that home in so many ways to everybody. And that includes what we just spoke about, letting the client know and making sure your expectations are set at the beginning. Something as simple as that, when you're leveraging technology, is really going to change the game. I'm not sure if you've been on any projects where maybe something was misconstrued and then somebody didn't provide the right, information, and all of a sudden now you have, a ton of change orders or a ton of other issues that are going on in the project. And I want to keep educating everybody with, what technology can do, with what innovations that are available in the market, and then what the capabilities really are, and what it can't do.
I think you made a good point about change orders. So obviously we've all been on projects where we know that so much of the source of pain and changes comes from the mismatch and the misalignment between information, communication, and people, right? That mismatch. Sometimes it's a timing mismatch. So when we have that mismatch, we historically have tried to mask the mismatch with some contractual terms, which in the long run, if you always have to rely on some term of a contract, that's not true partnership. And I think AI and technology is allowing us to go into more of a partnership role to reduce those risks that are priced into projects and make things a lot more transparent. So I think technology forces us to be more transparent. In one area, speaking of some of the big challenges that are out there, that the large players in the industry, including the customers, probably have to collaborate when it comes to use of AI to improve safety for everybody, because we want to be safer as an industry every day. We want to keep improving. It's not good enough for one company to be safe. We all have to be safe. And that's a
Absolutely.
challenge, right? That means we've got to share information and best practices, which is
No,
not traditional,
100%.
right? So we've got to be more transparent. So maybe one of the things
Better.
that's a learning lesson is technology forces us to be transparent. A long time ago, a friend of mine who was a professor at the time, he said that information wants to be free. It's a really interesting point. You can have advantage on information, but in the long run, information wants to be free, right? So you might as well start collaborating and driving that transparency and collaboration, working with each other to improve, especially on things like safety and quality, because that's going to be a competitive advantage. If you get safer and deliver higher quality, customers are looking at that.
No, absolutely. And then what you mentioned earlier, it is a stacking effect, right? So the more information that's available to everybody, the more innovations that are going to happen on that information. And that's the best way to leverage it, right? Because now by the third person it comes to, now you're 3 innovations in.
That's interesting. And it's not additive, because it's almost like could be exponential. From your view of AI and digital tools, how do you think they will help us to maximize efficiency in the supply chain, in the construction supply chain?
I think it's going to come down to accountability, right? One of the hardest things to do right now is with everything on your plate, and then you also have all your direct reports with everything on their plates, and they all have due dates, you all have due dates, and the right thing to do is always to call your sub, your direct report, whatever it is on the due date. But is it always that easy, right? Oh, maybe even I forgot they had something due today and I expected them to get it out. I think AI is really going to come in there and the accountability phase, right? Whether we're using AI to, Microsoft already does it. You may see in the morning, you get emails like, hey, you promised this to this person.
Oh, yeah,
tomorrow.
that's right. Yeah.
Right. And I think it's going to go even a step further. I think we're going to start seeing more detailed reports on how responsive personnel are, on how quickly they're getting back the reports, especially if it's critical information. On many of our BIM jobs, we do that already, right? We have BIM track, we have other BIM tools. Autodesk has their own selection of BIM tools as well. And they're leveraging all of that to show like, hey, these people are behind the buck. They really need to take care of whatever revisions they needed to make in the model.
Right. So technology allows us to become more predictive and productive. We can predict where the pitfalls are going to be, where the risks are going to be. Not 100%, but that's where we want to get to, right? We want to get to, you don't arrive at perfection, you just keep improving. And so it's allowing us to do that. And then we've got opportunity now in an industry that is fragmented. And so look, not everybody's working at the same level of technology absorption, right? So larger companies, more resources, probably going faster. Smaller companies, maybe not. Your company, services, you're right there, right? Because you have to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Smaller contractors, maybe not much, so much so, but they're also going to get there because the industry is going to lift them up, right?
Yeah.
As we use these tools. And what's interesting is, so I went to New York Build in March, and we were all there, and I saw so many startups, like hundreds of startups, and I was thinking, wow. So many of those companies are either going to get bought out by somebody else, or maybe they'll be in a crowded space and they will not be able to achieve success. But there will be some winners coming out of that, and those winners will be maybe the early movers. Maybe they're the ones who are more receptive to solving customer problems.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, just those guys are all winners, starting their own company, going out there. I can't.
They're learning. They're learning and driving.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
Learning. We were at the conference, the DBI conference, and we saw how many great people were out there and learning. And the word was like, hey, how do we improve safety? How do we tackle risk? And how do we drive value for customers? Because customers were there too. And I think today more than ever, you have to start with safety, number one, and number two, driving value for customers. And if you could do those two things, then you have a seat at the table. And I think that you definitely have a seat at the table, and hopefully continue to drive great change in the industry, and also keep working in an open environment to help us all get better. So to that end, we're going to continue this journey with you, and I look forward to some more great successes from you, great stories and great projects. And so it's going to be very interesting. The next 5 to 10 years are going to be a wild ride, right? So
I'm
thank you,
excited,
thank you
Ravi.
so
I am
much, Neil,
excited.
for joining our podcast. I really appreciate it, and you've given us a hell of a lot to think about. So we've got a lot of homework to do, and I very much appreciate it. Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks, Ravi.